This is just on Jonty James. Close your eyes. Take one big long breath into the nose. Hold it at the top. 3, 2, 1. Big sigh. Let's do 2 more of those. Big breath in. 3, 2, 1. One more, all the way to the top. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, bro. Thank you so much for having me here. This is Just On with Jonty James, and we have Jaime Duff. Is your last name right?
That's
Jaime
me.
Duff here, a legend that I have just met and connected with in Ubud in Bali. A magical place it is, a bit of a vortex, funnily enough. Jaime and I have had some really good discussions about men's work, first and foremost, about running holistic events, transformative events, visions for the future about retreats, ideas around building our own businesses and how we want to create our own sustainable lifestyles through business ventures, and in the process, how we offer our gifts back into the world. So, would you like to share a little bit about yourself, share what you've been up to over the past couple of years with your events and what you've created? And then also I'd love to hear, or we can dive into that a bit after, but your intention for coming to Bali and and why you're here.
Yeah, brilliant, brother. And thanks for creating this space, man. You got a really radiant energy, and it's like, these conversations are so important we were talking about it before, to capture these moments in time where we're sharing this information and spirits are crossing paths. We only met a few days ago, but felt like we knew each other for a long time. And it's just a real honor to be here, man, and sharing the medicine. There's a lot of synergies in what we're doing here in the world and what we're here to create. And that you mentioned the holistic sort of events and the holistic life. I think like when someone who has that embodiment of holistic living meets another soul that has that, you can kind of see that in them. We're living in this increasingly separate society, and to create a space where we can connect across so many levels, where obviously the healthcare system is based on separate symptoms and separate, the media is all separate, the companies are all separate, but when you can embody living a holistic lifestyle within, then we can start to bring and share that medicine in the world. So I feel that's why we connected, and
Cheers, bro.
especially at such a wholesome, holistic place like Sayuri's.
The best food in Ubud, by the way, or one of the best places.
Oh no, I prefer Zest, but don't tell them that.
Zest is pretty good.
But man, so Jaime Duff. Look, I'm here to help people do more great things in the world. I think, I really believe at the core of my being that everyone deserves to live a great life, and the way that they show up each day, how we live moment to moment, I feel creates a great life. It doesn't necessarily have to be this big vision, this big thing that we're trying to achieve outside of ourselves or beyond ourselves or our legacy. It can just be how we show up moment to moment, and just helping people do more of that and feel great every day is really ultimately what I'm here to do. And last couple of years, thank you very much to the Australian government for putting me on my path.
Likewise.
November 2021 made the decision to walk away from my engineering career, and same with a very close brother of mine, and we sort of dived into how can we create the spaces for people to feel safe and whole and to heal and grow as a community, because left, right and centre they're being shut down. Especially Western Australia, a lot of yoga centres, a lot of health culture, And for them to just close that, and even closing the gyms, and like you can't exercise and work out your immune system and be out in the sun. And so we were just at the prime point to create those spaces, and we dived in deep, created a company called Holistica, and in the space of 18 months we ran well over 35 events. We facilitated spaces for well over 1,000 people. Yoga, conscious crypto, movement, breakthroughs, and that sort of evolved into the men's space. Like Ryan, my business partner, and I, sort of both men who have done a lot of men's work and been in those spaces and had a lot of transformations, and we're sort of thinking, well, how do we bring this to more of the men of Perth who really need it? And that's when we were partnered with 2 divine women who, fun fact, I mean, like there's 3 conscious women's festivals in Western Australia each year, 3 big ones.
All women's festivals.
Yeah, all women's festivals, like full weekends of healing, workshops and stuff. And across the 3 festivals, they get over to 1,200 women every year. There's one very small one that's been run for men, and it's basically just a bunch of older guys, all really beautiful gentlemen, but it didn't sort of span that spectrum of influence of the people that we really wanted to work with, which is sort of, those like 25 to 45, 55 sort of guys that, really needed that support and needed conscious men to lead the way. So that's when Brotherhood Awakening was born.
Cool.
And that's been our baby, the 4 of us sort of birthing that. How can we bring this medicine that the women, feel from connecting in that conscious space, in the festival space, because there's heaps of retreats, and the retreats is a different kind of work, an important kind of work, but the festival space is such a more like open one, and I think people can be more open in that, and as much as you don't go as deep, you don't have to go as deep for people to have the breakthroughs, because they're already sort of quite open in that space. So yeah, we ran our first, groundbreaking Brotherhood Awakening event in June. We had 133 men.
Wow.
And that sort of brought me to where I am now. It was a huge undertaking, and it was to hold that space. And Ryan, an amazing conscious man, was sort of guiding me and holding me on a lot of that journey. And it was beautiful, man. And it was such an amazing success. The guys walked away from that huge breakthroughs, and now sort of brings me to where I am at the moment, where Ryan and I have sort of realized that we both got great things to do, and necessarily now our journey isn't together on those great things. So we're taking a bit of space and creating what we are both here to do in the world, and that's, for me, that looks like just helping people live a great life. So yeah, that's kind of the short story I would have been up to the last couple of years. But got a big vision, man. Looking to basically spend, my time traveling the world to conscious festivals, events, retreats, facilitating experiences, and using my background as a breakthrough coach, facilitator, and just really getting to those moments where people just have that, they look up kind of, and they're like, oh, yeah, and they sort of have this smile come across their face, because there's that moment where the heart's open. They're just like, wow, it's so simple. And then within 2-3 weeks, their entire life's different. They've quit the job that wasn't serving them. They've walked away from the relationship that wasn't serving them. They've booked a ticket to Bali, whatever it is. And it's like, that's what I live for, man. That's what I'm here for. So
yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And so, and first of all, I was going to say that vision, incredible, and what you've done and what you've created is kind of very similar to what I've done in the past few years. Is met someone, created events, started holding lots of space, building the events up and doing lots of different things, and then kind of to the same degree of kind of gone our separate ways, still keeping the core of it going, but kind of, we both have different visions about what we kind of want to do and how we want to do our own things, which is beautiful. We got to come together and build with me and Alan, and then now we get to flourish in our own ways and take what we've learned and grow with that going forward. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. There's so much resonance within your story. And yeah, the transformative experiences as well, that moment when people hit that point. You know, I know I've had that many times in my life where I'm like, whew, okay, like, but you also know that there's some like big decisions have to be made simultaneously, but you know that you're going to be supported and held within those decisions. So yeah, it's incredible to be able to witness that. So now you've kind of shifted your vision a little bit. You're in Ubud now. So what was the intention of coming to Ubud, and what have you found since you've been in Ubud so far?
Oh yeah, well, you don't choose to come to Ubud, like Ubud chooses you to come to it. Yeah, it's you know, widely known, as you know, as a place where people, a lot of stuff comes up, and it's a place where I can feel it tingling in my. Maybe that's just all the cacao we had. But, you know, it's a place of deep healing, and there are some areas that are quite heavy here, and I think there's a lot that can be moved, you know, should you choose to. And I actually used to live in Bali. I was living in Canggu before COVID, and sort of went back to dive back into my engineering career in 2020. And you know, even though the sort of borders opened up a few months ago, and I've had opportunities to come over, I've sort of been resisting in a way. You know, hasn't been the right time, but it's always the right time when you do actually arrive. And had the intention to sort of dot around and go to, you know, Canggu and go up north, and yeah, booked a couple of nights in Ubud, and here we are, you know, 10 days later, and just I'm like, yeah, unfortunately got to drive, you know, or fortunately, unfortunately, but yeah, got to fly back to Australia on Friday, and yeah, actually have made a decision to sort of live between the two worlds, and have, you know, have my career supporting me and using my mind and the things I've trained in engineering to also support me to travel and to build the vision and to help more people, really. And so yeah, I think Ubud for me was just really to find that point of surrender. Yeah.
To accept the life situation as it is, and then I guess find some new inspiration for how you're going to keep moving forward.
Yeah, yeah. It's you know, it's been a really long journey for me to find safety in self, and I've been doing some really intentional practices the sort of last 2 months, and I'm happy to dive more into them.
Please.
But to get to this point now where it's quite interesting. I was talking to someone this morning about it, and I was sort of telling them where I'm at and how all this creative energy and inspiration is coming through, and they're like, oh, that's the feminine, that's the feminine energy. And I was like, well, and I sort of thought into that. And I'm like, okay, well, what does the feminine energy need to create? And then the feminine energy needs safety and presence.
To be held by the masculine.
To be held, yeah. And I think those intentional practices I've been doing over the last 2 months, and also this time in Ubud, I've created that safety and presence within myself. And now the channel of allowance, of flow, of creativity, the feminine energy has come through in a way that is much more authentic than trying to get my feminine energy by just, you know, doing a yoga session or doing a meditation or doing masculine to get to the feminine. It's kind of like, no, how do I really sink into the masculine? Safety in self, presence in self, you know, strength in self, and then this energy of allowance has just come through, and it's just like, okay, even just going back to, you know, my career next week is not even, it's like, yeah, like I'm fully in alignment and I'm fully like there for it, you know, and yeah, and that's the medicine that Ubud's given me. You know, it always gives you what you need and sort of not what you want. I kind of had the idea I was just going to be, you know, relaxing massages and coconuts, and I was like, yeah, it kind of swept me up into the vortex. And
interesting.
Yeah, so that's
cool. A lady I was chatting to, I saw a message today. She said that the word Ubud means medicine, apparently.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and she was like, So okay, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
the medicine is provided in its most beautiful ways, but I feel like that has only come from, like you said, you've put the work in and you've put the effort into doing these practices, so that when you did get here, you got to open up and allow all of this new stuff to come through. So, what are some of the practices that you've been working on over the past couple months to, I guess, keep you grounded and to keep you, I guess, within that your own beautiful framework?
Yeah, and I appreciate you asking that, man. Look, one thing that's come through really strongly for me, a dear friend of mine, my housemate actually back in Perth, he's a breathwork practitioner, and he does do the sort of like the big breakthrough stuff, like, and that's powerful and important, and it's been a massive part of my journey. It's like this big like cathartic releases, crying, laughing,
Screaming.
tears, like so important. But he sort of sat me down a couple of months ago. He said, look, there's this other side of breath, which is your underlying breath pattern, which happens when you're not consciously, it happens all the time. It happens when you're in a stressful situation and you actually start to breathe differently. And that's sort of linked to when you're a child. And, we sort of go, okay, well, I just got to release the trauma, release the stress, and it's all good. But it's like, actually, no, you actually have to train yourself to walk again. You have to train yourself to breathe again. So I've been doing it every day now for it's about four weeks. And it's a certain sort of, it's just an app. And it's like 25, 35 minutes a day, doing some box breathing and some like breath hold training to increase my CO2 capacity, oxygen capacity. And it's actually just really, more than anything else that I can put my finger on, has really just calmed my entire nervous system and how I show up in the world. And it's been really profound. So I think, spending time, because everyone's like, oh yeah, I breathe every day, and they go in, and I think even yourself, you mentioned you sort of, you breathe every day, the big release, and I've tried that, and for some people it's amazing, and I know other people. I know one of the most prominent breath workers in Perth gets clients coming from all over and books out retreats all the time. He did the same thing. He breathed every day for like a year and had all these breakthroughs, but it can also put a lot of stress on the nervous system.
Sitting here, I'm like, I've done that. I've gone hard for months at end. But then also taken breaks and just come back to really gentle, soft, like flows with my breath. And I think finding that, like the balance between the two, because one's, I guess, more yang and one's more yin, or one's more feminine, one's more masculine in a sense. One's just simply allowing the body to flow, the other's like directing the body to move and to push and to break through. So I think, finding that rhythm, and sometimes I've done hard for months at end, and then I've done nothing for like a couple months, like not a single heavy breathwork session. And then I feel the calling, and I'm like, oh, it's time. Like this morning was the first time in 3 weeks that I've done like a short, intense round of breathwork and a breath hold for as long as I can until I'm like screaming. It was the first time in 3 weeks. I finally felt the calling to do it.
So breath's a big one, man, and I'm the same. Like a friend of mine took me through a more intense like breath session. It was only like 10 minutes, and we were doing sort of like a sound voice activation. We just as you do, manifest all these shamanic instruments and this epic place to jam like around the corner from where we were, and and just in that short space of that deep breath work, like my authentic voice came through, like the primal, the lion energy came through. It was just like, and it just completely transformed the whole rest of the session. And it's like I said, 100%, that real like masculine style of breath work is so important. But I think, with this breath work boom, what we're missing is that subtle repatterning, and that's I think it's so important for people to do. So that's been a big part of my sort of nervous system in the last couple of months. I think another thing is just that really like letting go, like but like truly letting go. Like, you know, there's like I was saying before, I came here with the intention of massages and all this to allow me to let go, when really you just need to let go of all of it, like everything. And that's when flow comes. Like, flow doesn't come from, drinking the right kind of coffee at this time, and then, doing this, and then eating the right food at this time, and okay, now I'm gonna, work on this time block. Flow comes from just like letting go of everything, and then allowing what comes through to come through. I mean, that's my own personal, that's what I've found. And then I actually started an experiment a few days ago, and I'm still doing it now, and it's been unbelievable. But I woke up on Sunday morning, and it's like, I'm just gonna let go of everything I wanted to do, and just every moment, just ask, what does my beingness want to do in this moment? And I'm someone who sort of normally gets quite caught up in the mind and get overwhelmed, and yeah, but it was just like, it's just created this effortless flow of amazing things, the synchronicities and connections, and just like, the more I do this, I've been on it for like 3 days now, and even just yesterday I found myself getting quite overwhelmed. It was around lunchtime, and I'm like, oh, I want to get a massage, I want to get a haircut, and I want to, and I'm like, no, just right now what I want to do. And it's like, okay, I want to get a haircut, all right. And that was all I focused on. Just get a haircut, focus on one thing. They say, like, focus, what it stand for, like, follow one course until successful. So it's like that. Yeah, focus. So it's like, and then I got the haircut, and then something, got a message from someone saying, hey, I'm going to this waterfall. Do you want to do that? And I'm like, yeah, sweet, done. And then everything sort of just flowed from there, and it was just, I just had to allow, and just focus on the one thing I wanted to do in that moment. And it's gonna, for me, it's gonna be really interesting, the experiment next week, when I'm putting on the button-up shirt and the shiny shoes and walking into the office. What does my beingness want in this moment? But I'm a realist, right? And I know people have jobs and responsibilities and thing. Not everyone can just be an orbit all the time.
Just flow for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And some people can, and that's epic, But I still feel it's possible in the structure, in the structure of, what does my beingness want in this current container right now, and how do I want to show up? Engineering can be a very high stress environment if you allow it to be. Yeah. And I did for so many years. So much pressure on myself, and but if you actually or what I'm really visiting for my return is just allowing myself just to be, not worrying what that person thinks of me, because I don't even know who they are, and it's like, it doesn't even matter in the big scheme of things, because I can see the bigger picture beyond what I'm doing in that moment. But I still feel like I'm going to be able to tune into that. So that's probably the second thing that's really just allowed me to just
to be with it,
to be, just to be,
to let go, and I guess ultimately drop into your truth and be as present as you possibly can be with the moment, given every life circumstance that's going on, given that you have this job that you get to go and work at, that you also have this big vision that you're working on and that you know that's building, and you get to be present between all of that stuff and just trust in your own rhythm and flow that'll get you to that point, or will continue to take you along the path. Wow.
Yeah. And and I'd say the third thing is probably really tuning into the way that I want to move. I've been going to the gym for a long time now, and I've lost count of how many years I haven't been enjoying it. I've just been going because it's just been. I know it. It's convenient. It keeps me in a certain level of fitness that I'm comfortable with. But I went to a yoga class the other day with a guy in Perth who's very well known in the scene, and the only person I know to have sat with Ram Dass and all this. Yeah, he's very, very tuned in. It was like this sort of hatha tantric yoga, and it was just like it just really flipped the script. You know, we're doing these things like these kriyas, but it wasn't gentle. It was like, all right, you know, like one of them really stuck with me. It was like, how do you focus? It was like, so like you said, you sort of surrender, eyes closed, and then what are you focusing on?
Laser focus.
And you're doing that for like 10 minutes, you're like sweating.
And it's so intense, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, just letting go of the gym and bringing in some like stuff like that. There's other ones where you're like, what are you drawing down, you know? And you like do these different...
Into like from a surrendered release pose to a really tense.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really activating parts of me that have just been so shut off, like, you know, just in the gym doing this like, and it's like, yeah, because I think there's been a story attached to the gym for so long, and it just has, it really, like, I only admitted it to a guy I just met, I was chatting to yesterday, like, it just hasn't been the space for me, it just doesn't align. And when I do something that's like primal, or like ecstatic dance, or Muay Thai, I've been doing some Muay Thai classes, and just dropping in. Like, I'd never really done a class before. Yeah, and he's like, wow, you're breathing so, because I'm just like, and he's like, wow, you're breathing so good. I'm like, yeah, well, I breathe a lot, but I was just like, and it's kind of like I was meant to be in that space. And it's also so efficient, you know, like, you might have to get that sort of masculine, I guess, because that's why we train our muscles, right? It's to tune into that masculine energy. And I feel like to get that from the gym, you might have to do
raw power.
Yeah, you might have to do that for like 2-3 months. You know, oh, I'm getting good at squats, and you know, like whereas like you go to like one Muay Thai class, and it's like, you know, he's gonna kick more, harder, and you're just like, woof, and it's like that, or like
you keep breaking through levels every time that you're there. Yeah.
And there's only a certain amount of hours in the day, and if you can spend 1 hour doing that and it gets you there, and like rather than 3 months, you know, slugging away at the gym, then yeah, being more efficient with the way we move, more focused with the way we move. So, and this is another thing, is the blocks for beingness can be bigger and bigger, you know, and you know, like say, you wake up in the morning, you might have a 2-hour block, and that's just you know, like 5 till 7, and then you're like, all right, well, 4 hours is just my mission, you know, and then maybe like, you know, 7 to 11, and then like, all right, 11 till 3, socializing, errands, catch ups, all that kind of stuff, and then like 3 onwards is just beingness, like whatever, you know, and
flow.
Yeah, and you have that more space because you've efficiently sort of masculinized your day, but you know, a lot of people can't even find 10 minutes to be. And I was the same, like I just couldn't, my beingness was like sitting in the sauna while I was listening to a meditation and doing the breath work and, you know, and doing my stretching for the day.
Like, do more.
But yeah, even if it's just 10 minutes, man, just finding that, actually, I'd love to dive into this.
Yeah.
There was a significant point about 5 or 6, 7 weeks ago, because after the festival, I had this intention, I was going to shut off, stop, didn't. You know, continued, went down, stayed with friends, I was with friends, and went up to work, and then, you know, went to New Zealand, I was with Dad, we were doing the whole time, and this vortex of doing, and then I was like, I was pretty cooked, like 6 weeks ago, I was tired, coming back from a social thing I've been doing all day, and I'm someone who, you know, openly admits that I don't really connect with the ocean. I'm a freshwater guy. Like, I'm a forest and freshwater guy, you know? Yeah. So, like, beach is not something that calls me. Even if I'm close to it, I don't.
You don't feel the calling to get in, or, yeah.
Yeah, but this one particular Saturday afternoon, it must have been like 2:30 in the afternoon, and I was like, it was a 30-minute drive home, and it was an extra sort of like 8 minutes to the beach. And something's like, just keep driving. Just keep driving, go to the coast. And I went to this beach, and I hadn't really been there before. It's like this nice big beach, dog beach, which I don't really go to often either, because I'm more of a cat spirit, big cat spirit. We can dive into that. But yeah, just keep driving. So I went to this beach and just laid out this blanket, and I had a fiction book that I'm listening to, which I've loved. It's been a big part of my beingness. Have something that I can learn from, but just be in the story, you know, just be in it. So I put this book on, and I just yawned. I just started yawning, and this went on for like 2 or 3 hours, man. I was like lying on this beach and just like yawning, like just laying in the sun, listening to my book, and just kind of like, you know, when you have the mushroom journey and you get the yawns.
Yeah.
It was like that, but for like, yeah,
The
but
body
for like,
finally dropping in. Yeah.
whoa. Yeah, that was a really pivotal moment for me. It was like, what you've just done, Jamie, for yourself is create that space to be. And I can like feel like right now it's just in my whole, I just like melted, you know, there's so much tension, just layers and layers just oozed off me at that time. And basically since that day, I've created every day now, just space to just be. And it's really leveled up in profound experiences more and more and more into, I'm someone that's never been able to get into deep meditation. I've never given it the time and space. And probably because I've always been doing my meditation, doing the guided, doing the thing. But lately I've been dropping in deeper and deeper and feeling, just feeling more. I don't get a lot of visuals when I close my eyes, or I haven't typically, but more and more that's coming through as well. Like it's like, you know, the opening of the vision, what I see in my mind's eye, and concepts are sort of intertwining and playing in. And I haven't really been doing anything else. I've just been being more. Yeah.
It's incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
Just acknowledging that, bro. Just really acknowledging that commitment to yourself, and that, I guess that switch up in the way that you're doing things. And it's funny, sometimes I've had many moments in life, and I'm by no means perfect at this, but we have just been going so hard for so long in a certain area, whether that's training really hard or doing intense breath work really, like for a long period of time, and then you just stop all of a sudden, and then within a day or a week or like a little while, all the new downloads and all the new information starts coming in, and then these big shifts happen all of a sudden in your life. It's like you put in all this effort, but until you actually allow yourself to integrate it through the beingness, it's not gonna settle, it's not gonna land properly. And I think that's what the beauty of a good yoga session is. You go into this yoga session, you start in a state of mindfulness, you go through and you do some hard poses, you really push yourself, depending on what sort of class it is, but you push yourself to your edge, to your limit, see how far you can go, and then once you've done that multiple times over, you lay down into Shavasana and lie and let it integrate for 10 minutes. You know, sometimes you go to a yoga class and they'll let you lie down for 15 minutes, and you just, and you have that full moment to completely allow everything to integrate. And I guess extrapolate that out into our lives when we do that on a larger scale, and actually just allow that integration to occur. It's fucking powerful.
The allowance.
Yeah, full allowance of everything. And I guess the other concept is like, coming back into the depth of our feeling. You know, like coming back and fully into the depth of everything that's going on within us at this current point in time, and holding that. And then just surrendering and just allowing whatever's there to be there without any judgment. Or like I was writing this morning and I was observing some judgments that had come up in my mind. And then what I had actually been doing, or I noticed a pattern, is that I judge the judgments. And I'm actually just creating more of a bad situation, because I observe a judgment and I've got the observation to observe it, but then the other part of me goes and judges that judgment, or judges the part of me for having that judgment. And I'm like, I've been judging my own judgments, which is like counteracting the thing, which is kind of just perpetuating it. And I was like, okay, mindfuck, but.
Wow. I've been doing exactly the same thing. Because there's nowhere I judge myself and others more than when I'm in the gym, like in my mind. It's just like this constant script. And then I'm like, you know, when I'll catch it, I'll judge. I'm like, oh, shouldn't be. I'm like, wow, I don't know. So how do you personally let go of that?
Well, that just came up in writing this morning.
Yeah, wow.
After observing the last couple of days, and I was like, judging the judgment. Ooh, okay. And I think what I wrote down this morning was just coming back into that state of unconditional loving awareness, of just being completely observant And if there's one judgment that comes up over here, and there's there's this inclination or this, impulse to judge the judgment, it's just bearing witness to both of those and actually stepping away and observing both of them simultaneously with the loving awareness, and to have, I guess, to be in a state of non-reaction to whatever the counter argument is going on within the other argument in the mind, to step away from both of those sides. And I guess, something that has supported me, which kind of plays into this, is that disidentification with my mind, and with the specifically the voices in my mind and the thoughts that I have, and whether they're dark, wild, really sinister thoughts, or they're beautiful, loving, like amazing, wonderful thoughts. I get to practice disidentifying from those as being me. And it's quite a trip, because it's like, I was just practicing disidentifying with the dark thoughts, and going, because what I used to reply to them, oh Jonty, we can't say that, or Jonty this, or Jonty this. So I was referring to those things as Jonty, as to who I am, but they're not Jonty. They're the thousand voices that have, conditioned and, I guess, somewhat infiltrated my mind or my beingness from being born, or from past lives, or from whatever you want to call it. That's society, and that's conditioning, and that's all the words that you hear around you in your life, and you take those on, and then they repeat in your mind, and they're not us. When we come into our true core, like that, those thoughts aren't us. They're just I guess, energy and motion in some form. That just it's an idea. It sparks. And we don't have to actually refer to those as ourselves, because if we do, then we become them.
Yeah, that really resonates, man.
Yeah.
I've listened to a lot of Abraham Hicks lately, and when I say that, I've basically found two 15-minute clips that I've listened to about 40 times each, because I'd much rather do that. Hey, just find something that resonates, and rather than dive into all the content, just like listen to that one like 15, 20, 30 times over. But one of the big things is, they say, like, reality is happening right now, all the time, constantly generating, and you have no obligation to be now who you were 5 minutes ago. And like letting go of that, I think it really sort of like aligns with what you're saying. Is where, I'd really love to dive into sort of that oneness experience, because I think people reach that knowing in all different ways, through meditation, through plant medicines,
Sorts.
through
having a baby, through like doing the dishes. People meet it, right?
Well, absolutely, and or institutionalized through religions and stuff like that, but and probably also stigmatized, I think, because there's this concept that we're all one, we're all light, we're all God, there's this oneness, or even like with the there's hippies talking about we're all one, but until you've had that physical experience yourself, you don't really know. And
the truth is,
and I mean, I recently had one of those experiences myself, and it sounds like you've had that as well. And we can dive into each of those individually, but for me personally, I'd encourage everyone to, if they get an opportunity to have that experience, or a pathway to that experience, then it's so important, because you realize that in the grand scheme, obviously, the human experience and what we're doing and right now is important, but ultimately, everything is just, we're just a blip in the big cosmic goo.
Time frame. It's such that concept alone is such a trip, right? Like, we're such a small piece of this massive moving thing that's going on, and it has always been going on, and it will continue to always go on. And we're just this little bit in the now, and all the past moments of now are what we get to bring forward into our moment now, and then we get to choose and make choices for all future moments of now, and we get to create a path, and we get to move forward, and we're all connected, but we're also simultaneously in a physical reality where there is actually a separation, there is duality, but the duality still is on the same spectrum of oneness. And that's such an interesting interplay, and I've gone down this path so many times, and I'm like, I trip out, and I'm like, fuck, okay, so what is it? Like, it's oneness? Is it duality? Like, is it both simultaneously? Like, are we living in multiple dimensions at the same time, or is it just this one fixed reality? What is it? But at the end of the day, like, it doesn't really matter if we have these answers. Like, it's good to have the experience and to have the first-hand experience that connects us with our truth, but like, you know, if we have slightly different visions and views around what truth is, like, but we believe it and we hold it and we're respectful of other people's truths, I think that's a beautiful way to move forward and to, yeah, I guess, create union within cultures, within societies, within ourselves, between the masculine, between the feminine, and ultimately create a better planet.
A more beautiful world our hearts know is possible.
Yeah, because it's there. It's possible, you know, and I'm sure you know this, like, when you look after yourself, when you nourish yourself through looking after your body, looking after your mind, you're tending to your emotions, nourishing your spiritual connection through whatever practices or belief or faith that you have, like, the world supports you, or the universe supports you, and you get looked after. You know, we still have to do the work and put effort in, but when we are being respectful of ourselves and everything around us, like, you will just continue to be looked after and continue to be supported through synchronicity, through serendipity, through kind gestures of others, and yeah, I guess just the connection that we all have. So I guess that's a form of connecting to oneness in itself, is knowing that when we connect to ourselves, that we're more connected to the world around us. I wanted to hear a little bit more about this plan for your festivals that was just coming up in my mind. So you want to travel the world and run these unique transformative experiences. I'd love to hear a little bit more around, like, what exactly you do in those experiences, or how you would hold that particular space at a festival.
Yeah, I appreciate asking that, man. It's something that I hold very dear to my heart, is breakthrough experiences, because my journey has really just been a series of, you know, breakthrough experience to breakthrough experience, and everything in the middle has been the integration.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, but the moments I look back on are those the epiphanies, the breakthroughs, the tears, I get it, you know. And one thing that we, you know, put a lot of effort and energy into with Brotherhood Awakening was to look at, you know, how we create these experiences for people in somewhat of an open environment, with, you know, obviously less of an emphasis on the aftercare, because we're not creating a retreat, we're creating an open festival space. And one of the things I think was really important was self-responsibility, instilling the guys on the journey with, like, you know, this is for you to take away and hold, and we did a really strong support network. You know, we had counselors, trained counselors, and we had facilitators with all their offerings, and we had, you know, you could call people and all that kind of stuff through the festival. But yeah, it's something that I've really been working on in my own space, is what experience can I create that, because conscious festivals are just, you know, popping up all over the world now. You know, you just pull one thread and then all of a sudden you've got three festivals in every country, and I think that's a real testament to this sort of shift in consciousness that we're talking about. It's an acceleration. It's a catalyst, and for me, what I'm, you know, really wanting to do is to be part of that catalyst for the human connection. And I was like, what experience can I create that people have in a festival that they're like, wow, you know, like, that was amazing. how do I continue the journey rather than, you know, walking out and, yeah, I feel amazing, and then, you know, like, their lives, you know, within the space of 1-2 weeks, they're back. Yeah. So like, how do I provide them enough of a shift in that moment to go, this is important, I want to continue, and whether that be, you know, through my, you know, creating an online program, and obviously it needs to be congruent with the festival offering. You know, what translates from a festival offering to an online program, and also to, you know, to a retreat in Bali or an immersion of sorts, because I'm an intense guy, and I like to create intense spaces. So. And my biggest breakthroughs have been in those spaces, you know, a week-long men's retreat in Bali where we're just like breathworks and like primal and yeah, and then break that out and integrate it. So, you know, how do I give a sample of that in a workshop that translates into the online, that translates into that intense? And for me, something I only have loosely associated with is that big cat energy. Which strongly for me is the lion energy. And I truly believe that within all of us there is a lion that is waiting to be awoken. And for me that lion is courageous, that lion is caring, that lion is intentional, and that lion is a leader. And so I've created a workshop concept called Awaken the Lion, and it's basically a process that can be run for men or women, or, you know, just for men or a mixed. And it's about using movement, play, authentic connection to build people up to a point where they find and connect with that inner lion, that inner strength, that inner power within them, and that will be through somewhat of a primal way as well, primal and cathartic way. And what's then important is taking it back to, okay, well, how does this, you know, something that I've always been known for is being quite a grounding person. So first, okay, let's ground you back in. You know, let's get you back into your, you know, you've felt this energy, cool. You know, that's within you now.
Settle it.
Yeah, return to center, and then, okay, now what are you going to do with it? You know, how are you going to create change in your life and the lives of those around you with this new connection to this energy? And for me, that would be sort of online, ongoing support. That would be the retreat, because, you know, the lion, the call of the lion is very strong, and I feel we all are here to do something important. Or actually, I'm going to change that. Not so much that there's written of like, there's this, you know, we have this destiny. I don't believe in sort of like the stuff written in the stars. I feel we have the opportunity to choose to do something important, and anyone who chooses to has the ability to do something important. So anyone who feels that call to choose to do something important, that's where that lion energy comes in. That's where connecting with that real drive, that inspiration, that courage to step into the things that you're here to do and to actually take up space in the world. And that's the kind of experience that I want to just deliver all around the world and facilitate and create. And I've, you know, started putting in my applications for festivals now, and I'm just so stoked to start building that out, because it's something that I've always associated with that big cat feline energy, and it's so alive for me. And yeah, I just couldn't be more excited to bring that to the world. So that's kind of I haven't actually mentioned anything publicly yet, so that's the kind of big reveal to the next chapter. Yeah.
Yes, bro.
Yeah.
Cool. That sounds phenomenal. And my take on that is, it's getting people into a space, a safe space first and foremost. It's building them up and guiding them through practices to bring their deepest energy up to the surface and to feel that full expression of their power. And then it's to ground them back into it and to be able to hold steady in that without letting it go off in crazy ways. And I started a small men's gathering, a monthly men's gathering, and that was kind of the intention, was like empowering the inner leader within the men. But the first 4 sections was intense. Like, we started off with quite intense breath work, and then we'd go into a stillness meditation. So like, bring up the energy, and then as soon as it's really peaked, sit back down and be in it and hold that energy. And then the next one was come out of that and would be in the sand, and it would be 5 minutes of punching the sand and kicking and kneeing the sand and screaming and putting anything into the sand that you want to put into it, whether that's letting out anger from the bully that bullied you at high school, or your overbearing parents, whatever it is, putting the energy into the sand and just releasing it with not directed at anything else. And then after that, coming back into balance and to coming back into center and to holding yourself with all that heightened energy. And I think that's ultimately the flow of life, right? Like we go into a state of, we create or we enter a state of tension, and then we have to find our balance within that to bring ourselves back into our center. And then life comes along and something else pulls us off or brings us out, and we either choose to react to it or we choose to integrate it and to hold ourselves back into our center. And I think that's such a powerful practice for anyone to go through and in any stage of life. So I'm excited for that journey for you, and looking forward to witnessing how that how that goes and how that flows. And all power to traveling the world and doing lots of stuff at different conscious festivals. Fucking A. Makes me really keen to, to get on the same bandwagon.
Yeah, man, let's do it. I'll send you my list and we'll...
I'll create some sort of immersive breathwork experience,
Yeah,
tied in back to back.
Yeah, let's do a collab.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah, I'd happily travel to festivals.
Yeah.
There's one Boom festival, which they only do every... I think they just had one like a month and a half ago. It's in Portugal, and then I think the next one's not for 2 years now.
Okay.
But it's like this massive. It's like a psytrance, like big, like, but like really epic art and conscious events, and like it's a very conscious festival as well. That would be the pinnacle for me, I reckon. That one. That's the one that the main one that I want to go in Europe is that. But I'm sure there's lots of other epic ones around.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure if you've seen it in the videos, but Medicine Festival in the UK.
Medicine.
Just the name of it, yeah. It's just like
Medicine Fest.
Yeah. It's yeah. It was beautiful, man. Like there's a you might have heard Tim Morrison does a lot of breath work and men's work in Australia. Huge following now, and he's sort of burst onto the international stage with a spot at Medicine Festival, and and that really inspired me to like, all right, well, what can I do in this space, and how can I get involved in these festivals? And then I started to pull the thread of, okay, what is there, and it just one after the other, and it's like. These spaces, they're really the accelerator for this, well, the catalyst for this human connection and connection to self and
unity for humanity, ultimately, right?
Yeah, closer to this oneness space. I think it's really interesting what you mentioned before about the challenge and bringing that back in. We had this, one of the things we did was a group activation in Brotherhood Awakening. It was like they arrived in the afternoon on that very first morning. The next morning was like everyone comes together and it was big, like, and it was like, we're doing the breathing, like, you got like 133 men circled up around this big thing and shirts off, and then you're like,
drop in.
And then you just bring it down, calm. And then a couple of minutes in that, just holding that, and then you bring it up again, and like we hadn't even got halfway through the exercises yet, and guys just started popping, man, popping my left, right, and center, and then everyone comes around, full support, and it's one-to-one, me and them, or Ryan and them, and it's just like, all right, now's your time. We're gonna hold you through this. What do you need? And you sort of like find the edge, and so all right, now you got
let's go
a little more. Let's go, and the challenge is something that is big for me, because it's like you say, this life will bring us challenges, but I think the difference is with people like yourself and I and people creating the spaces is we're choosing the challenges we want. We're choosing the hard things. We're choosing to go do the hard classes and the breathworks and all this time creating, whereas other people let life choose the challenges for them. So do you want to live a life where you actually choose the challenges and that you want to do, like, and seeing that, it's gonna be so amazing traveling the world to all these conscious festivals, but also accepting that the grass is only greener on the other side because there's more shit over there.
Oh, exactly. And it's not an
So
easy
it's
thing
like,
to
yeah,
constantly get on planes and travel to different time zones to show
Yeah.
up and to get yourself ready to properly, deeply hold space for a whole bunch of new energies that you've never interacted before. Like,
Yeah.
that's also a massive commitment of time and energy and your own investment. And obviously, you know, like a lot of those festivals, you're probably not getting paid. You're probably getting free accommodation or, you know, a free pass, but you're still having to pay to get there and to do all the other things. So
yeah,
that also is like, you know, really making a commitment to go and spread the message and to go and spread the word. And I really
Yeah.
love that, bro.
yeah. So and acknowledging that as part of any vision that you put out there is that there's going to be these challenges, and I'm choosing those challenges, you know, and that's what I'm choosing rather than like letting life, you know, put a bus in my way or whatever it is.
Choose your hard. Yeah.
Yeah,
Choose your hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a really good way to wrap up this conversation is, choose your challenges. Get out there and face your own internal challenges through putting yourself in situations that might scare you or might push your edges or your limits. So thank you so much for this enlightening conversation, sharing your vision, sharing your journey. Where could people find you? Do you want to share your socials, any links for anyone to find you if they want to find you?
Yeah, 100%, man. So it's funny you mentioned Journey because my Instagram is Journey with Jamie or journey.with.jamie. We can post it in the
links,
description. And I've just launched my website, which is journeywithjamie.global.
Cool.
Because you got to call in the global journeywithjamie.global. So that's sort of just going to be a base at the moment. There's no sort of set offerings, but just sort of like a bit about who I am and the projects that I'm working on, the projects I've already sort of worked on, and and just keep an eye out for more big things to come.
Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, my man.
I appreciate you, brother.
Looking forward to some sort of collaboration in the future and
Fuck yeah.
you know, and what there is out there.
Yeah.
Let's
do it, bro.
it.